Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former world champion and the fastest player out there in the blue, the Italian stallion. It's Reynor. Up against the top-tier Terran from Poland, we have Spirit. A best-of-5 Terran versus Zerg showdown, where Reynor's quantity of units goes up against the quality of Spirit's defense. And I enjoy both those things, so I'm going to try to have it both ways by begging you to like and maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? It doesn't need to make sense. 1,522 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit greedier and better. Command Center first for Spirit. Making sure he takes full advantage of the massive size of this map. No. 3 command centers before, well, he has 1 Marine. Now, Reynor, not a stranger to this level of greed himself. He's got a 3rd hatchery already laid down, but I believe Spirit is slightly ahead when it comes to the 3rd base. Neon Violet Square. Well, when you can get a 3rd pocket base in that corner, especially as Terran, it definitely lends itself to a more passive lifestyle. A lifestyle where you settle down, you bunker up, and you possibly play no rush until the 10-minute mark. And of course, at this level of play, no rush really means kind of poking and prodding with maybe a few Hellions, some Banshees, Queens yelling at you and throwing some knitting needles out, but it looks unlikely that any sort of real aggression will be... Okay, well, Reynor with a 4th hatchery in that back corner. Starting things off, well, continuing things. Neither player is entirely aware of the greed of their opponent, but Reynor came in, he scouted the Marines. You're like, of course, Marines. No. No Reaper, Marines, Command Center type. No. Full greed. Reynor knows just from the existence of Marines and the lack of a Reaper that this is about as greedy as you can get. Unless, no, stop it. Stop. 4th command. Well, I mean, this isn't BGH, but big game hunters I've seen... Actually, in big game hunters, most people who play it are less greedy than our professional players right here, right now. Right here, right now. And a Hellion comes in. Creep Tumor will be the first casualty of this war. And technically, that doesn't actually cost any resources, so did it ever exist at all? Reynor has lost 18 minerals from doing an extractor trick. I believe earlier on. And that's it. So, who will break the streak? Reynor, 4 hatches. Spirit, 4 command centers. Double engineering bay. He did get barracks 2 and 3 before the double engi bay. So, we will give him some leeway there. That means he is interested in having something resembling an army at some point before getting like 2-2 upgrades started. Now, will this 4th command center go out towards the center, or does he send it to the gold? Double Evo chamber for Reynor. Honestly, 4 bases is where you start running into it. You can't even have enough workers in order to saturate more bases than that. Now, this map is a bit of an exception because that back base only has 4 mineral patches, but each base has 22 workers for 100% efficiency. You can go over it, even though it turns red. That doesn't mean it's useless, all right? I've always thought it should turn yellow until about 24. Technically around 20. Let's not get too pedantic with it, but the command center's heading out. So 4 bases is 88 workers, 22 apiece, 16 on minerals, 6 on gas. Now, between 80 and 90 is usually where players land. And Reynor's about to be there at the 6-minute mark. But past that, in order to have 5 bases early on, you're looking at over 100 supply and workers to actually make it a real option. I'm sure we'll get... Reynor's already building that 5th hatchery, but I was kind of joking about the no rush thing. I'm no longer laughing. I'm no longer LOLing, if you would. Nor am I ruffling nor lamowing. I am deadly serious when I say this game will be fought in the production tab. for at least a little while longer. Though Spirit is going to have 1-1 combat shield and stim, so we'll be moving on. He's got 5 more barracks. 5 more barracks on the way. Another Aspire for Reynor. So going towards Mutas. And who will draw first blood? Double medevac drop heading out. Spirit looking to sneak to the edge of the creep at the very least. Maybe all the way into the main. As the medevac, nope, creep first. Overseer, not quite hunted down. He actually stimmed the Marines to try to get it. But here we go. And will someone die? The medevacs, still nothing. Oh, false alarm. Somehow no one has died yet. 7 minutes in. Reynor now is going to have like 15 mutas banked up by the time the Spire finishes. He's going for like a 6th hatchery here at the gold. Spirit with a 5th command center on the way. Did it happen? Did he find the Overseer? The Overseer at 7 minutes and 20 seconds. First blood has been drawn. Now, Overseers are kind of a weird category where they're not really an army unit, but they are. So, you know, I'm counting it. Otherwise, we're fully just playing Megaton, but with rocks in the middle. 11 Mutas on the way. 14, the Spire. That's a full medevac, by the way. He's got 8 Marines inside. We're like, did we have to come on this sightseeing tour? The mutas are about to pop out, and Spirit is already turning around. Spirit still playing a perfect game so far. Hasn't lost a single unit, but the mutas are looking to change that. Yeah, it's just so hard to get across the map in a timely fashion here. 6 missile turrets are on the way. The missile turret count is skyrocketing, and the rockets will be fired into the sky. Ghost Academy, 2 tanks at a time, +1 mech weapons. Guys, Reynor's maxed out. 8.5 minutes. 2 twos on the way. He's got plenty of production. He's got like 6 hatcheries. Still, Spirit has yet to lose a unit. 8 minutes and 40 seconds. And there it is. Go straight for the turret. The sensor tower not giving enough coverage. The SCVs will be taken out. And this gang of mutas will be finding real success here as Spirit trickles around his own supply depots, not really even thinking to lower them, in a bit of a panic. 2 more command centers on the way. He's got the gold base landed. Spirit didn't, or Reynor didn't even notice it yet. Comes back around with the mutas. And the turrets in the main base. Thors are on the way as well. Just working on the missile turrets. Spirit not coming back to defend. This is a bit awkward. The mutas are just kind of flying through the whole base. Down goes a medevac. Another one as well. The Marines will stim, but a little late. More of a performative stim there. And that he's been outflanked by the missile turrets. Will lose at least 1, maybe 2, 3 mutas in total. But he's killed 13 SCVs, 3 turrets, got a couple free medevacs. So, and behind this, 90... Reynor is questioning the genre. Spirit has an interesting take on it, but all right. Thank you for our clickbait title of the day, Reynor. Reynor and Spirit have played possibly the longest game in Legacy of the Void. About 1 hour and 40 minutes or something like that. And Reynor by the end had something close to a mental breakdown. As Spirit, a master class in turtling, but the towers will be tested as the banelings are rolling through. The mutas on top of the planetary getting a little distracted there, but don't want to get in range of the Thor. Planetary taken down. And the first wave. The creep is encroaching somewhat appropriately here against the Tower Defense Terran. 9 more mutas on the way. Adrenal glands +3 carapace on the ground, +2 flyer attack, a second spire. Just in case those upgrades. 5 command centers at a time. That's just gratuitous. Adrenal glands halfway there. Banelings loaded up yet again. And Reynor, I mean, it doesn't get much higher economy than this. They're both at 3,500 to 4K minerals per minute. Reynor's at 1,600 Vespine gas per minute, which One of the few players who might actually be able to spend that much. The creep is most of the way across. He's building so many command centers, he's going to struggle. He's going to have traffic jams in his own base. The missile turrets, no building armor, no high-sec auto-tracking. He hasn't finished those infantry upgrades yet. More SCVs will die. Appears to need more towers for defense here. Those depots are getting in the way a lot more than they're helping. And another wave. Plenty of siege tanks behind, though. Doesn't need a planetary to box this out without the mutas. So the mutas right now, 18 of a 36 supply of mutas, with over a third of his army supply invested in the mutalisks. The ground army just isn't large enough. He just does not have enough claws and legs and weird toes on the ground. You can find more of my Dronely fans if you like and subscribe. Jimmy, edit that out. But building armor on the way. Surprisingly relevant upgrade. It feels like Spirit has tried nothing and is all out of ideas. But it's quite clear he was intending on Tower Defense Terran from the very start. Reynor confirming it via the chat. He's played Spirit enough times. But his answer is more Lisks and more Lings. He does not have a Hydralisk net. No Ultralisk Cavern. No Lurker net, obviously, because it's kind of a prerequisite. So, how does he break this? Quantity, I guess, will be facing off against quality. The Terran army will be better in a heads-up fight. So, Reynor has no reason to go head-to-head. Mass Liberator. Actually, for its original oh, wow, that's a lot of damage against the mutas! Reynor may not have played against this in quite a while. The mutas just evaporating, getting misted by the Liberators, the Ghost Snipes, the missile turrets. It's truly a tower defense game now. And an Ultralisk Cavern alongside 92 more Zerglings on the way as the mutas, have been rendered obsolete. One chunk at a time. Now, Reynor may have creep over about 80% of the map. He may have over 9,000 minerals. He may have 3,000 gas. That's it. I didn't have a dramatic end to that sentence. He may have a dream, but he still has to execute it. Nidus network on the way. 13, 15, whatever amount more banelings in the corner. Yeah. He's going to be taking both corners, the bottom left and the top right. He's taking both the central bases as well. In an even money game, Spirit should have at least one of those. So Reynor will simply have more. Though this position is going to be, he can break it. But at what cost will have to be the eternal question. Target firing the banelings. Planetary Fortress doing some damage as well. +3 melee is complete. 4 Vipers in production. Needs the crowbar of Zerg in order to address Spirit. Oh my. He's killing his own Thors. Are you, of all the things, could be SCVs, could have been Marines. You're killing your own Thors to free up supply. Thors! Well, that's certainly a first. Chitinous plating is done. Ultralisks are not on the... Oh! Liberation is at hand. A Venn diagram of freedom. One base is taken out. Spirit. I don't know what we're doing anymore. I guess it is BGH. I was making fun of it to start, but now Spirit has more CCs than a terrible corporate email chain. He's got more factories than the Industrial Revolution. He's got more planetary fortresses than the Empire in Star Wars. And he's got as many fusion cores as it takes. Wait, he just got a fusion? He has like 12 Liberators. That actually seems pretty late. A fusion core surprisingly late in the grand scheme of things. The ghosts in the midst of the squares. Trying to find the right angle and somehow coming up empty. The parasitic bombs, if they stacked, would do terrible. Why are there mules out there? The world may never know. I actually have no idea why there are mules out there. Has he started trying to mine Reynor's base? It's a little early for that. We have yet to reach the bean counter phase. Will we start clicking on all the mineral patches and counting minerals and stuff like we care about math? Slings and bangs. Hydras. I'm just naming the units now. Reynor has surprisingly few of them, I guess, so it's easy enough to do. He's taking down the rocks down the center, using Niduses like it's Brood War. Three more command centers on the way. There's already 11 orbital commands. This is obscene. How many? There are 2 planetaries out there. The orbital commands are forming a near wall. There's just 3 mutas? 3 mutas enough to take out liberators in those pesky positions. 1 queen. Get off my creep! Brenda, technically it can't land on the creep, so you're perfectly fine. Yeah, but it's flying. How does that thing fly? Well, you must be heavier than it, Brenda. How dare... Well, the mutas will die to the liberators. Marines try to move forward as we're settling in with thousands in the bank, looking for a repeat of one of the most emotionally devastating games in Reynor's StarCraft 2 career. I guess Spirit was also there too, but he was kind of sitting back that whole time. Caduceus reactor on the way. Parasitic bomb on those liberators. He's splitting them up, but at this point he's just killing 1 liberator at a time. It does take more than 1 parasitic bomb to kill them all. But at this rate we'll get there eventually. The creep is on the doorstep. In fact, it's kind of spilling into the foyer at this point. The supply closet, if you would. And we're fully settled in. The SCVs working their way. Well, SCVs are in an awkward pathing. I think there's actually a wall somewhere in there, and they're not able. Did he wall off? Yes, this depot is closed. There's about to be 70 or so banelings. The queens on the front line, such as it is. Vipers, lings, and mules repairing the planetary, keeping it going for quite a while. Complete upgrade set now for Spirit. He has +3 attack for everything. Spirit nukes outside of his own base, and now there's a planetary fortress just, you know. He actually lets the nuke finish, or land. Takes out 3 changelings, which seems like an expensive and bit disproportionate solution, but that's Terran in a nutshell. There are currently 12 orbital commands. He's building 3 more command centers, because that wasn't enough. Alright. Where are Reynor's 12 macro hatches? He has 125 crude tumor. He can't. It's impossible. He has to fight through the streets. There's a planetary back there, tucked in with its protection crew of 5 orbital commands. You see, that costs no supply. In fact, they drop supply. So now I'm thinking, when it comes to walling off, like actually physically walling off, what is the size of an orbital command compared to a supply depot? Is it actually more mineral efficient to wall off with a command center than it is? I don't think so in the sense of like actually walling, but nobody's going to use banelings to bust through 4. Reynor might. But it's weirdly, though not that surprisingly effective. And now, well, Reynor has nearly 20,000 minerals in the bank. Reynor is saving up for next game. But Spirit is not hurting very much himself. With some more nukes on the way. He's nuking a base that has like 20 larvae and no resources. Wait, Reynor didn't mine any gas. The Liberators are creeping forward, leapfrogging across. The Ghosts will decloak at a very concerning time and then recloak. And then all die both to combined siege tank fire. Ooh. Nuke almost kills them. Did he launch two? Took a lot of damage. Maybe it was already bruised. 100 Zerglings on the way. Spirit actually manages to carve out the bottom left corner. The Liberators just ping cushioning the larva. Bio army in the top right corner. There are 8 sensor towers, 12 orbital commands. How many planetaries now? 5. Reynor has 140 Zerglings, but that number dipping very quickly as the siege tanks chunk them up. It's like the Heart of the Swarm cinematic out here. The planetary... Wow. The backup planetary may actually make the difference. Will it hold on its own? No. The Zerglings get a full surround. Even with the building armor, it's not enough without repair. But... where are you going to go with that? Well, Reynor has lost 600 Zerglings. He's lost a total of 8,000 more resources, but he's actually lost 500 less gas. And Hydra Lunge on top of the siege tanks. More Ghosts dying dramatically. Can barely see them, but you can definitely hear them. It's like your neighbors. Ugh. A lot of drugs, guns, and drama. Your neighbors are American, too. Hydras, Lings, Banes. Blinding Cloud. Reynor overruns the bottom left. Hellbats will take out the incidental, what's left of the gold base. 10 SCVs and 9 drones at a time. Hellbats actually take out another base. And it's not getting concerning for Reynor because he still has like Fort Knox in the bank right now. But the Banelings, well, we're slowly starting to run out of minerals and gas. Feels like it should be more quickly, but this map is just so ridiculously massive. The mules are mining at a rapid pace. Spirit is about to reach the 5-digit mark on his minerals. I don't know if Reynor actually hit the 20k. I don't know if we quite got there. But now the Liberators with another Olympic rings of liberation. Spirit, though, struggling to expand any further. And this is... Reynor wants to deny at least one of these bases. Clearly doesn't want to lose some of his own. But this is getting... Conspicuously absent are infestors and lurkers. At some point, Reynor got the Ultraless Cavern. I believe he has the Ultra upgrades. He does. Chitin is plenty, at least. He doesn't have Ultra Speed. Not that I think Ultraless would be amazing against 7 Liberators, 10 Siege Tanks, and 14 Ghosts. And, of course, like, a roadblock at every 4 steps. Which is possibly the most relevant part, actually. Meanwhile, he's engaging the Bulwark of Orbital Commands. They will lift, abandoning the planetary. He yanks in the siege tanks, which I think helped him take them out, but also brought them closer to the fight. The Ghosts are landing some snipes, some of them taken out by the Banes, but the rest caught in the squares. Marines on the high ground are slowing things down. And another command center will land, wait. There's a Zergling under there. It's too cute. He's gonna figure it out momentarily. He should have the scans. With 12 orbital commands, I think it's hard to run out. Yeah, SCVs will go to work. The Zergling is fully mined out. Brutal. And he's actually taken another base. Some Bio Liberator on top of some more drones. These SCVs in an awkward spot. He drops. And it's not even efficient. Like, you can only have one mule mining per patch at a time. It's like regular SCVs. It just mines over the top. But that doesn't matter. As the Mule Canyon is carved out yet again. Reynor losing more drones to Liberators. As they're annexing corners of the map. Mules dropping to repair an orbital. The rest of the orbital is forced to lift. The backstop planetary was taken out a while ago. Liberators yanking out some, or Liberators being yanked out by the Hydras and the Mules. What are you doing? You have so little to live for. Some of them going to go to that back left corner base. There is a backstop planetary here as well. Oh my. 11, 16 more SCVs dead. He needs enough SCVs to build more command centers and mine gas. But otherwise, Spirit on it. Does he need much more than that? So like 20 should do it. Another Zergling. Reynor, the bank is dipping, especially the gas. He never rebuilt. I don't think he realizes it's not nearly relevant. We're not bean counting yet. We're getting there though. The beanstalks are starting to run a little thin or low. Dry? Maybe. Zergling's trundling across the map. Still has 140 of them. How many has he lost? 877. And counting. Still double-digit orbitals. I mean, Zerglings only cost minerals. And he's killing gas units. So, where are you going? The orbital's about to fly over the Hydralisk here. Another couple dozen Banelings. Reynor doesn't actually have +3. He doesn't have +3 ranged attack for the Hydras. Which, small thing, but in this sort of game, it adds up. Yanking out some more. Nuke in the top right corner. Reynor clearly not going to be looking that way at this moment. Marines splitting. Planetary taking bites out of the army. And that nuke is likely going to land. Knocking out a few more drones. 5 drones dead. The Hydra's forced back. And Reynor is now... He's about to... You know, getting to 10,000 minerals feels like... You've made it. But now that he's dropping under 10,000 minerals, that feels concerning. Especially... Oh no. Oh, what have you done, Reynor? Oh no. He spent his gas. Oh, that is an ultra risk indeed. 7 ultras. Spirit now has more gas. Well, that... The lengths Reynor will go to ignore the fact infestors exist. How much would they help here? But ultras are certainly a choice. As Hydra once said, when I'm really far ahead and I want to lose, I build ultras. And does he even know he doesn't have ultra speed? Which certainly won't help. The Zerglings drag some of this back. The ultras have not yet been revealed. The Zerglings can burrow in the main. He's got Vipers, he's got Ultras, he's got Banes. He's thinned out the army. There's only 6 Ghosts and 2 Liberators. So this is the weakest anti-Ultra army there's been in quite a bit. Blinding Cloud, forcing the army back. So many Ultras. That Planetary Fortress, the missile turret may take out some of the Vipers. Planetary's taken down. More Ghosts on the way. The rest of the army is just headed off to the right side. Zerglings burrowed in the main, another 70 of them in production. Spirit's Bank is about to be drawing a blank here. He's down under 1,000 minerals. And now, it's bean time. How many minerals are left? 95, 200? Spirit is about to be completely out. Reynor still has 7,000, which feels nearly broke, but in comparison. There's only 43 drones out there, which really isn't that much income in any fashion. 1,500 per minute. Spirit is about to mine out of his last. He needs this. He desperately needs this. Maybe, well, how many orbitals? He still has 10 orbital commands. Reynor cannot allow a command center to land for more than like 10 seconds. Because even a single wave of mules is potentially devastating. There is one more gas geyser over here. The planetary doing some damage, mostly hitting ultras though, which is not the ideal target. A greater spire is on the way as Reynor's starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, he needs to consider that he could mine out. But Spirit, down to 2 patches. 1 patches, 5 minerals. What are those here, lucky minerals? Why are you leaving them? He's mining some gas. Spirit has 27 minerals. He can't even really repair now. But he's about to land a single command center. And it's time. Rapid fire mule drop. The income is in Reynor's favor, barely, as there aren't that many minerals left to mine. But the mules are returning them. Another orbital burning. And the Mule Canyon will be carved out yet again. As Spirit, a relatively fresh base. It's about 50-50 here. Still has all the patches, which means it's relatively fresh. Half the patches are half the amount, is how it works. And he's maxed out with 175 army supply. Has Reynor dallied too long? I mean, he still has 8,600, 2K, but this base, how many? Count the beans. 180. I can believe we're doing this, but oh my. Multiple orbitals burning. 5 corruptors on the way. Will Reynor make 1 infestor? Spirit needs to start just long distance mining. Scan and drop the mules over there. This orbital's about to burn mid-flight. 10, 9, 8. Feels like a pretty solid representation of how the game's been going. It burns as it tries to land. Unnoticed or uncared for, or both. $1,218 Zerglings. 14 planetary fortresses. 7 hatcheries. 11 queens. A single brood. He's gonna land to mine this. The spore crawler, while bleeding out, will angrily protest. Really, a planetary? I guess there's enough gas. An SCV? Oh, he's moving the barracks from the main! I mean, at this point, they're just another way to wall. The migration has begun to the top right corner. And I think it's at this point I must remind you that in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must destroy all of your opponent's buildings. Which unfortunately is becoming relevant yet again. 4 infestors on the way. All roads eventually painstakingly lead to Infestor Broodlord. Thing is, for Spirit, he's losing a lot of supply. Well, I don't think he's actually going to get supply blocked. He still has 8 orbitals, 3 planetaries, all providing 15 supply apiece. So that adds up to being the most supply. What are you doing? Are you insane? Why are you up here? He loses 1 ghost, but working on those. Yeah, the infestors on the way. Looks like he will be slightly supply blocked from lack of depots. in orbital trying to mine. It's a little less supply than I thought. Actually, I think it works out to exactly what I was going for, like 160-ish. 5 more. The orbital command, a little ambitious, which is a little understatement. But using it for vision, lines up the snipes, will lose the orbital. And with it, needs more supply depots. He's rebuilding the engineering bay. Reynor has begrudgingly, with great disdain, I am editorializing, but built Infestor Broodlord. He's working on +3 Carapace. There are still a few minerals to mine and gas to refine, but so far his Vipers have had buildings on which to dine. And now I think it's a sign. We're going to draw the line. It's finally time. As there's barely anything left to mine. Like and subscribe. What is the anti-air? 11, that seems a little... I'm pretty sure he has it on rapid fire, and it just... The repeat rate is so high, it just pops up. He has 11 ghosts against 13 broods. There are infestors. No Vikings. The Ultra's underneath. Spirit isn't actually making any... Well, he's making some SCVs, of all things. A Liberator's being yanked out. Infestors will lock him down. The Bio Ball. He can't really move forward. There are Ultras and Infestors. Spirit has rebuilt most of his add-ons, which seems optimistic. Spore Crawlers moving forward. 1,264 links. There's still a few dozen on the field. 5K, 3K in the bank for Reynor. 1K. He... Remember when you killed those Thors in order to free up supply, Spirit? Winter Farms remembers. As Spirit puts 3 Thors in production with some of his last minerals and gas. Okay, he's not running out of gas, but... You can't build anything with just Vespine gas. Hot air only gets you so far. The Brood Lords, the Feudal Society, the Queens as well. Brood Lords can use the tanks against the Terran army. Doesn't want to risk anything getting sniped. The Thors will have maximum upgrades. Those Vipers, though, yanks a tank. Yanks a Thor! Thor surrounded and obliterated by the Broods, which have maximum upgrades as well. And we're still maxed out. Reynor is mining. He didn't notice he has this gas. That's the only thing he's missing. No Parasite is on the way. Spirit killing his own Marines. Freeing up supply for more Thors and Liberators. Huge fungal. But some of the units moving a little far forward. Try to bait out some more fungals. Actually covering for the Ghost. Gets a few snipes off. The Thors on the back line still pounding their way through. The Queen's taken out. And the exchanges continue. I mean, Spirit took out 4 Queens and a Brood. Reynor took out 4 Ghosts. They both took 4 Marines down. Mamma mia. 166 army supply apiece. Spirit has no more minerals. None. Income... Wait, what? I lied. Spirit has 1 more mineral patch. Parasitic bomb on a couple medevacs. Quarantines them. Still taking a lot of damage. Without minerals, you can't repair either. It costs 1/4 the price of a unit. Well, the Sporchard is coming together, becoming quite a sporist. The Liberators on the other side of it. The Changelings, trying to maintain a inconspicuous posture in the midst of everything, making it very difficult for those Thors. EMPs coming out, and a couple of the Thors not in high impact mode, it seems. Here come the Vipers, and putting those Thors into the right mode. The Ultras are still out there. 4 more Infestors on the way for Reynor, who it seems like pulled back and started building the endgame unit composition just before it became a real concern. And despite the fact that Spirit has still a ridiculous amount of infrastructure, he's broke. And soon to be broken by the Broods if he doesn't change something soon, or Reynor doesn't make a massive mistake. 2 more Thors dead. He's bleeding out. This is the Spirit. This is the closest Spirit has gotten to actually attacking Reynor this entire game. But it's far too little. I fear, too late. The tower defense has been embraced by Reynor as well. The Thors and Liberators moving up. Knocks out an Overseer. Without detection, the Ghost could be a real existential threat. He knows Reynor is near broke by the way he's playing. He just doesn't know how close. And at some point, it might not matter anymore. Parasitic Bomb. More snipes. Ultralisk wanders a little far forward. Spirit at 145 supply. The Brood Lords get a volley. A big fungal. And the army is just coming apart. Not with a bang, but with a repeated series of fungal growths. As the Liberators try to move forward, the ground army is still waiting for the final commitment. And Reynor will be brought under 1,000 minerals by the very end. Assuming he builds up to 200 supply. No! GG! Of all the games I've ever seen, that was certainly one of them. 1,200 Zerglings. 14 planetaries. Spirit giving up the map to Reynor before firing a shot. And it almost worked. Almost might be overselling it, but if Reynor had fought one more time with that Ling Ultra army and hadn't just crushed Spirit on the field, which it's almost impossible to crush that army. We did not see it crushed. It just kind of slowly crumbled. And only because there's a finite amount of minerals on the map. But crumble. Like most turtles, it dies of very old age. Anyways. Well, I will say close. The fact that it went from 20,000 minerals in the bank to almost not a single mineral to his name. Well, Reynor wins. And honestly, he was not far, I think, from tilting his way into defeat. If he ends up losing that game, I don't know what Reynor does, but I know he's not happy about it. Clearly trying to avoid the Infestor Broodlord until the last possible option. Which makes him more entertaining for us. If not the 1,200 Zerglings or dozens of other units that were thrown directly into the fray. Getting outflanked by missile turrets. Tower defense is a lot of fun, but usually for the person making the towers. That's how they design those games. But here we are. Well, a 2-Rax Reaper build to start, as Spirit is on the right side of the map for it, which is the right side of the map where the add-ons are not easily exposed. It's been a while since I've seen someone whip this one out. It's an old build, but it checks out. Not that old, but it seems to have gone by the wayside. I'm not exactly sure. I think mostly Zerg players figured it out. It's a big commitment, and it's almost required to go into a generic Bioforce afterwards. You don't have nearly as much opportunity to go for Hellions or Banshees. Not saying you can't, but saying it's a much more convoluted process. So, Spirit investing in the 2 Rax Reaper to start. Reynor's going to see it. He's also going to see the command center timing. So, he knows it's very unlikely there's another barracks back there building more Reapers. So, safe enough to start things off. The Zerglings come out. He is going for the 3rd base, so not going to do a big counterattack. There's still the option, of course, for doing like roaches and banelings, but that is a very all-in strategy. Making just enough Zerglings to deal with it, and no more, is an art form. And a dangerous one at that, as the Queen comes down, Queen on her own. Susan, wait up! Susan! Tell my wife I love her. I'm your wife! They killed her. Brenda, are you okay? No! In so many ways! The Reapers doing devastating emotional and physical damage, killing off one of the queens. Zergling speed still 13 seconds out. Another queen badly bruised, not getting the 3rd base. He's got a 3rd command center behind, because of course he does. But the queen coming back in for an inject and gets assassinated. The Zerglings will finish with their speed and finally catch the Reapers, but 2 queens dead. And this many Zerglings out on the field? That is a significant investment, though he will get the Reapers. 2 queens. That's 350 minerals nowadays. Heading across the map, he's going to flip the factory over to the react. Spirit, you greedy goose. He just builds the starport on the tech hub. He could have just built it right behind it and flipped it over when it was done. Is he gonna lose that starport? I mean, you can cancel it, but you can't repair it while it's building, which is, I guess building is like repairing it at a set speed. He has to cancel this, expecting the Hellions to be done, but Spirit's greed getting the better of him, which, you know, for someone who built 12 orbital commands at once, I can't believe he's getting greedy. Well, the starport delayed. And, of course, scouted, as it's almost impossible not to in this state. He knows that the barracks are back in the main. He's not just pumping out Marines with stim right off the bat. He prioritized getting the Hellions, which are now sharking up to the north side. Clearly avoiding any potential overlords. In fact, the Queen gonna have to sound the alarm. And Evolution Chamber... And the drones on the run, though, trapped in a prison of their own design. 7 drones dead. 8. Ends up losing 9 drones to Hellions that just kind of ran in. Reynor already taking a 4th base, though not too much later than the previous game. Not an ideal timing at all, as Reynor was not even at 50 drones when that hit. Now, 4 more Hellions will get scouted by the Zerglings, but that's enough Hellions that, off the creep especially, the Zerglings not going to have a chance. It will slow down Reynor's economy significantly. It's not like Spirit was slowing his own down very much at all. He's landing the 3rd command center. Hellions working on the creep tumors. Banshee Cloak is now done. Three more racks on the way. It's going to be ostensibly bio. Again, bio-curious at least. But Spirit with a tendency to shift into the more mech-based composition as time goes on. We'll see if he actually goes for any sort of marine tank timing. But the double cloak Banshee pre-cloaks at the edge of the creep. Reynor likely did not spot this. Though they will run out of energy relatively quick. There should be, yeah, spores already in the middle. This is 7 minutes in, so And the queens? Stop right there, criminal scum! Brenda, calm. What about the banshees? I can't do everything. Sorry. Banshee's getting a decent amount of damage done. Very good micro. Exploiting the fact that that Spore Crow just slightly out of position. Not covering the whole mineral line. And the queen struggling to actually line up the shots. Double medevac on the way behind. And from here, he's building a 4th command center. He's building a 2nd factory. Getting an armory. Spirit could be lining up an attack. Or also, just as likely, not an attack. 2 factories on the way. Not the actions of someone who's about to take an aggressive stance. Uh-oh. I hope you got your pizza rolls. And if you didn't, because the last game was so engrossing despite the kind of nature of it, well, you're going to need to warm them up again, but not too much. Put like a wet paper towel over them, because otherwise you're going to get that Song of Ice and Fire sort of situation where it's going to burn you and freeze you at the same time. All right. Hot and cold. Just like me, but I haven't had pizza rolls in so long. Is it a regret? Or is it just growing up? Porque no los dos? Spirit ventures out with 16 Marines and 2 medevacs and immediately snaps them up at the first sign of trouble. Planetary Fortress on the way. First of what could be many. I think it's happening again. Here we go. All right, settle in. We already did the whole bit. Both sides working on 2-2. The Banshees. That is a lot of Zerglings. 100 Zerglings. Literally no other tech. Hydra Den just started. Hive is halfway done. Two more command centers and a literal line of turrets at the front. Those turrets are not for mutas. Those turrets are for taking out things like Overseers. And just being some form of wall-off. The Zerglings take out a creep tumor that was in the way of another base. And speaking of bases, there's 2 more command centers in production. 3 Vipers on the way for Reynor the moment the Hive finishes. Ghost Academy in production. Reynor heading towards 100 drones. Spirit of 80 SCVs. There's Adrenal Glands. Trying to take the center base. There's multiple opportunities for that. Ghost Cloak on the way. Reynor is maxed out. Here we go again. He's starting to bank minerals. I don't think he will approach the 20k mark on this map. But 5 digits is not out of the question. Banshee, get off my creep! Brenda, we said you'd have your revenge. Thank you. Sorry. Did he just transfuse a Zergling? Siege tank count is getting concerning. A dozen of them. 133 Zerglings. Watching as a near-full medevac gets swatted out of the sky. Another one badly bruised, so a strong gust of wind would finish it off. Thankfully, clear skies at the moment. The Marines. He's literally sacrificing like 8 Marines to get a creep tumor. One of the 63 creep tumors. And Spirit's not even maxed out. Like, he's building 4 command centers. And Ghosts are 3 supply now, not 2. That was their nerf. All of it. So, building a nuclear missile. We saw a couple of them last game. Ended up doing kind of ancillary damage, but More command centers on the way. As Reynor seems to have embraced our more sedentary nature. Weird graphical glitch. Oh, the queens! Caught in the center of the map and gunned down by the ghosts. Almost gets an overseer as well. There was some Nidus in the last game, but didn't end up being a major factor. Didn't go lurkers at all. So Reynor just ignoring the conventional meta at the moment. And a fusion core is on the way. Spirit has orbitals 6, 7, and 8 coming online. Another starport. He has 8 barracks, 3 factories, going to be 2 starports. He's about to have more orbitals than any other individual production facility. But Reynor has 8,600 minerals and 1,700 gas in the bank. Vipers yanks a tank down. 92 Zerglings, 97 drones. 3 more command centers. 4. Yeah, alright, sure. I mean, 13 minutes in. Over 1 command center per minute. And that number is rising. Spires on the way. +3 carapace and melee. Finishing up. We got +3 infantry weapons and armor. Not too far off either. The Zerglings have to file through the streets here. The ghosts all line up their shots on 1 or 2 of the Vipers. Actually gets a blinding cloud. The ghost forced to retreat. The planetary fortress is completely overrun. The ghost cloaking. There's 1 overseer. So he clears the planetary, but now we gotta ask ourselves the question. Wow. In terms of units, he only killed 2 tanks, a ghost, and 6 SCVs. He got the planetary. But Spirit killed 90 Zerglings, 2 Vipers, and 34 Banelings. And also technically a siege tank. And an SCV. So, quite a costly exchange. But Reynor can pay the price for now. As much a hostile financial takeover as it is a physical one from the Zerg at the moment. As just overrunning the orbital commands. Another one ripped apart before it can fly away. The Ghost completely out of energy. Not that they really need it in this scenario. Lines up a shot, knocks out the Viper. And Spirit is already landing a command center as he clears up the Zerglings. But he did lose several orbitals. Meanwhile, another hatchery, I believe 2 hatcheries taken out by a double drop to the north. Reynor plummets to 10,000 minerals in the bank, 3,500 gas. Definitely the more concerning part. 160 Zerglings, and adding a couple dozen Banelings in. There's a few Vipers in the mix. You got a stew going. How many? The medevac count is stretched quite thinly. He has advanced ballistics. No building armor, no high-sec auto-tracking, no Caduceus reactor. None of these kind of late-game upgrades that are remarkably cheap and incredibly effective. Spirit, it's almost negligent to not get those upgrades. He has the money. He's maxed out. Without high-sec auto-tracking and building... Sure, it doesn't matter for this moment. But considering how many planetary fortresses there were in the last game, I would argue that spending that 150 is probably worth the price. And Caduceus reactor, double medevac energy regen when your ghosts are over here hurting for any sort of healthcare plan. Well, Well, 12,000 minerals for Reynor, so that number's about to dip as he comes in with another wave. Banelings crash into the planetary. Ghosts, firing squad, helping out a lot. Auto-attacking is usually fine against Lings and Banes. 88 more Zerglings, a couple Hydras. Reynor still with larva. Kind of surprised he doesn't have like 7 macro hatches, but nothing compares to orbitals. 8 orbitals still. He's got 2 planetaries, building 3 more command centers. Nuclear launch detected. Top left corner. No drones there. 3 unlucky overlords. Not that they can really get away in time. And I guess the larva? Well. Nuke technically lands. Liberator. Also killing a few drones. As Spirit is maxed out now. We're a lot closer together here on ley lines, though, than on Neon Violet Square, where we're all tucked. Oh, well, it's quite a distance. Reynor has taken both corners, and again is working towards the center bases. At least one of the bases which Spirit in a half-map scenario should have. More likely 2. A Ghost responding. A Bioforce getting run over by Zerglings. Clearly not being prioritized, but then Reynor runs off and the bio will drop again. The Zerglings come back around. 15.5k now for Reynor. Though another wave down the center. Banelings rolling in. Still no building armor. Not that it would help against Banelings very much, but 14,000 minerals. Spirit without much in the bank at all. He's not building up that sort of iron bank he was able to get on Neon Violet Square. He can't reliably mine from any of these outlying bases. It does not take long for the literally hundreds of Zerglings to run across, morph into Banelings, at least a couple dozen of them, and crash into another planetary. They're finally pulling some of the siege tanks out of the main and the natural to help protect the front. Spirit has now lost 2,000 more gas and 2,000 less minerals. The fact that Reynor's even close, let alone more cost-effective, is damning in this scenario. But another attack coming through the Ghost, retreating. The Banelings looking for an option. And even before a planetary completes. Siege tanks getting a lot of damage done. Zerglings being sent into the fray. And actually the defenses have been carved out, and the third base seems to be vulnerable. The Zerglings killing some more SCVs. Spirit losing so many SCVs, he's now at a 40 army supply lead, and there's no easy way for Reynor to equal that without a similar action. Could do some crazy spore crawler tricks or something, but a Zergling blocking the burrowing of another base. Reynor's taking the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. Liberator's moving around. Is there a Viper nearby? Yes. Another Liberator. That Spore Crawler should be in position. This Liberator taken out by a Spore, but repositions. Double drop dealt with. 12 drones dead, but honestly, Reynor might want to consider a bit of a lower number now. As part of the issue is he simply can't put together enough army supply. Like, he simply can't put enough units on the field to easily compete with Spirit's army. Now, of course, he could take out an undefended planetary and roll over some drops. That one's not a problem. 20 more drones dead. Another planetary rolled into. Hydra Lunge is on the way. Is still no building armor, high-sec auto-tracking, or Caduceus reactor. I know, of unwieldy sentence, but very wieldy upgrades. Feels like Reynor has refined the strategy somewhat, and Spirit is putting up slightly less of a fight. Also, the map is just not as suited to it. We're just watching the same thing, but this time around, the Terrans, I'm hard-pressed to see hope. Now, if Reynor just throws multiple armies into a planetary and doesn't break them, well, he drains his bank and we're back to having quite a game. But multiple command centers going down. A nuclear missile launched down the center. Reynor cycling that camera around. I think he spotted it. Yeah, he just... And the drones get away. It will kill like 4 very unlucky Zerglings, which are literally born into a nuclear fire. Another ghost dies dramatically. Though, that's all of them. Still 12k in the bank for Reynor. Spirit has 11 ghosts, 13 siege tanks, 4 liberators. Those liberators continuing to be a massive, long-range thorn in the side that is sometimes impossible to deal with. Spore Crawler's repositioning. Here comes Reynor for another wave. Lightning Cloud on the planetary, but that just reduces it to melee range, which, unfortunately, Zerglings are very much so. Lifts. At this point, I don't know if planetaries are worth it anymore. They're more of a liability, especially if he's unwilling to get the building armor upgrade. More Zerglings. The double drop actually kills another hatchery, though hatcheries themselves a minimal cost compared to holding control of that location. Reynor still with 5 digits. 11.6k minerals. 5,000 gas, but it's starting to dry up as the first 4 bases are entirely mined out. The drone count has dipped significantly. I think part of that is Reynor just letting him go and not replacing them. So he is building 3 more. He wants to have the army... At some point, he needs a larger army supply to actually fight the army. And we're coming towards that point very slowly. I would say surely, but, well, +3 plating is pretty good. The Zergling chewing up the tanks. Eventually gets there. Another planetary will be attempted. There's still 10 orbital commands, though the Hydras could lower that number. A huge swell of Zerglings, taking up the entire screen almost. He's got 168 and 20 Banelings. Hydras take out 1 orbital, working on a second. The Bioforce to the south. Actually picking a fight now. As Spirit starting to realize, or accept. I think he realized a long time ago, but now he's truly accepting the need to do something to remove Reynor from these locations. Something more than just send out a medevac or 2. But the problem is, he's maxed out with no reinforcements. And are we doing this again? Multiple buildings ripped apart. Blue Flame Hellions come back. Quite a good counter to the Zerglings. Needs Hydras or Banelings to contest him. I mean, I guess he could throw Zerglings at him. 100 Zerglings per Hellion is not going to be a good trade, but he can almost make it at this point. As Spirit carves out more of the map. Orbital command burning. Once again, quite a metaphor. Literally burning through money here. Ghost cloaks in the corner. The Zerglings will surround it so it can't slip away. Eviscerated by the Lings. There's so many. Nuke in the top left corner. Siege tanks down the center. The Ghost. 1 Viper. Blinding Cloud hits some of the tanks. Bio Army headed south. Ghost trying to line up a firing squad. Loses the Overseer. Banelings can still hit incidentally. Nuclear missile knocks out 7 drones as Reynor was clearly focused on the fight down the center. And Spirit has no money. He's down to 160 supply. Reynor just built 100 more Zerglings. The Italian Stallion is about to serve up another wave. And I don't know if Spirit can stomach it this time. He's still got 11,000 minerals. He hasn't even stooped to building an infestor. I believe there's a spire, but no greater spire. 1,000 Zerglings dead. I love how Cyril and Reynor on the same team. Many times considered at the same level, though Cyril has kind of surpassed it a bit. But Reynor The Zerg. Considers infestors to be a dirty word. Turtling is for Terran. And sends endless swarms of well-microed lings with incredible macro. Whereas Cyril's like, I will micro 6 infestors and 6 broodlords so well that I will win the game with them alone. Well, we'll see if Spirit is able to drag this out to the dreaded death ball. As Reynor still has plenty of resources to fall back on. Spirit is one misclick away from disaster. Not even one misclick, just one slightly late click. As he cannot afford to replace almost anything. He's at 1,000 minerals, 2,000 gas. Things are burning everywhere. You can just hear the sound of buildings burning all over the place. This is fine. Okay, it's fine. Is it? More banelings. A lot of marines. 35 of them. 135 zerglings, though. Liberator coming in for another pass. An attempted planetary. Still no building armor. I just forgot him at this point. The lack of building armor and high-sec auto-trekking certainly making a difference in the overall trajectory of this game. Would it turn the tide? No, but it would certainly stem it somewhat. Losing a few dozen more lings, potentially hydras, to each planetary adds up. Again, maybe not enough, but... Oh, and Hellbats! Reynor just backs off. Susan, is it getting hot in here, or is it just me? A little bit of both. Thank you. Well, we're identical twins, so also... it might also be the lava behind... Shh, shh. Just know when to stop, okay? There's no need to be rude. Sorry. The 6 o'clock base will be taken up, but the main base being gutted by the Zerglings. Another planetary will get some token kills before being taken down. Reynor, I'll wake you up if he drops under 10k in the back. That's when we need to go from exasperation to concern, but not quite there yet. The Zerglings, there are 3 scans in the main base to scour for Zerglings. Unfortunately, the vast majority of them at the front, looking to break this planetary. Another blinding cloud on the planetary itself. Will be taken down. An orbital as well. And another wave. Hey! Wake up! He dropped under 10,000 minerals! He's down to 9,600! Now, Spirit has 25 minerals, which is less, but... Reynor is running out of money. Failing mod. Classic. The classic reflex. Occasionally, there is another mine in range. But, 95% of the time, that was it. It's just a reflex, though. Everyone does it. And, honestly, he still has 7 orbital commands, so I don't think it's a big concern. Well, Reynor has now managed to lose even more Zerglings. Wait, how many did he lose last game? The fact that 1,300 may not be more. Definitely more Zerglings lost per minute so far. But there's still time. Well, I guess it could slow down a lot and end up not quite being at the same level, but feels like this time around Reynor has expedited the process. Still a lengthy one, but cut down on it by about 10-12 minutes. The army, it's just ghosts. Oh, well, okay. Well, literally just ghosts. 20 ghosts, 5 medevacs. There's 122 more Zerglings on the way. But the ghosts are actually quite capable against just Zerglings, even the Hydras. The Banelings makes things a bit more complicated. And GG! Reynor doesn't even get the satisfaction of slaughtering the ghosts. 1,447 Zerglings. And 2 Gs. Well, we're gonna call that one a win for Reynor. Because it was. But emotionally, well, he kept his cool, and that's the important part. Playing against that style is, especially for someone like Reynor, certainly not a ton of fun. But putting on a bit of a clinic there on how to break it, even while going for a much more swarm-focused style than a turtly one yourself. The fact that he's done this in both games without making a singular lurker. I was gonna say Broodlord, but he did make Broodlord, so. Without a singular lurker, which has been the staple, and much of the games without infestors. Last game without any infestors, no lurkers, no broods, but Spirit seems to have resigned himself to playing that tower defense style. He wasn't lying when he said it's the only way to play, at least it seems to be in his mind. I think Clem might take issue with that, but Ultra Love. We'll see if we see any here. Another map that is relatively defensive. A lot of choke points. You can jam 2 to 7 command centers in. A lot of places where it becomes very difficult to actually find an angle. We'll see if Reynor takes a different one. I know, like, as a caster, you're supposed to hype it up. All right, like, oh, what a fight. But when one player can put his brother, who's also a so, for those who don't know, Reynor has a brother. His name is Baby Marine. I don't think that's his real name. But he plays professionally. Though Reynor did beat him multiple times in the last few weeks. But he is a high Grandmaster player, plays Terran, as you might have figured out. And that is hardly amusing to me. Though not that surprising, to be honest. Like, Cyril is the younger brother of a semi-pro SC2 player. Runs in the family, apparently. But what I'm trying to say is, Reynor could have also played or sent all of his minerals to his brother and still won the game. All right? Like, he could have funded another player and still had enough resources. That was how much income he had. That was how much of the map he was able to grab. Game 1, no. No. I wonder if he has his brother. I think his brother's almost good enough. I've seen a few of the games. Not quite at the level that he's really going to test Reynor. Quite yet. But close. Maybe he hasn't played this sort of turtle style, because Reynor historically has struggled with being patient. He's so fast, and he's so mechanically talented. But he's always struggled with just holding back for a little longer to find a better fight. Because now, we go now. It's a real-time strategy game, not a real hurry-up-and-wait strategy game. But most Terrans at the higher level are well experienced with that more campground style. And I would love if his brother was helping him practice it. Though, you know, just playing on the ladder, you'd probably find plenty. The few games you don't find Protoss. Hey, this is a message from the Hatchery Owners Association. We've had enough of you and your kind. We saw what you did last game, and the game before that. In years, we have put... He's gone. He's gone. I didn't even get to finish my speech. It was getting kind of cringy anyways, Brenda. Like, some people, they have no idea what's going on when this happens. And they still don't, but I had a whole thing. Sometimes it just doesn't work, all right? That's how it is. Hashtag deep. Yeah. Sorry. Hellion attempted to run by, did not succeed, ran right into the unit's lost tab, it seems. A Liberator's on the way behind. Another older build, but it certainly checks out. The Queen's very ready. Overlord's hanging out. The Queen hit teams are closing in from either side, softening up some of the Hellions. 10 Zerglings on the way. A Zergling speed is done as well. Couple more racks behind. Spirit? Wait. He has made no attempt. At no point did he do an attack. He's done counterattacks, but he has not put together like a 200 supply tank push. He hasn't even done like a... This is probably the closest thing to an attack here. A Liberator and a bunch of Hellions, but... I don't know. I don't think I agree that the only way to play is tower defense. Maybe against Reynor. Maybe that's the highest percentage play against Reynor, because there's only one Terran in the world who can really keep up with Reynor's speed. You already know which Frenchman it is. Marine Lord. No. AoE 4. Clem. So... we'll see. The Queen's closing in yet again. Trying to clear up some of the creep tumors here. Struggling to actually connect with them, but ends up getting there eventually. Fourth hatchery already on the way. Looks like Reynor slapping down a fifth one as well. 1-1 upgrades. Spirit is lining up for something that resembles a push. Like an actual walk across the map, put some siege tanks in a good spot on their side of the map, sort of actual push. So, we will see. There's even the Liberator still alive. The Medivacs coming out. And the Baneling nest is just now finishing. Reynor does have a lair done, but without Baneling speed, this can get concerning. He's got 74 drones, which is quite a high number for this stage. And that leaves Spirit with an opportunity to potentially come marching in and do some damage. Either that, or prove his original point. We'll see which one it ends up being. Reynor is very aware this is coming. Making only Lings and Banes, adding some Queens on now. Zergling counterattack. A few reinforcements may be in position for this. But the Spotter Depot is now trying to find a time. He doesn't raise it in time, and the Zerglings get into the natural. The siege tank on the high ground, he will siege it up, but it's too late. More Zerglings on the way across. Toy Depot serving its purpose. The Queen's caught out in front. Baneling speed still a long way off as Spirit goes for the heart of the swarm. The Zergling's getting a lot of damage done, though. He may lose a hatchery, but he's going to kill a lot of SCVs. 2 bases may be taken out simultaneously. The engineering base will go down, but he finished the 1-1 upgrades, giving an upgrade advantage to the Terrans here. Baneling speed still not done. 2 hatcheries down. +1 carapace and speed about to complete. And another counterattack is lined up as Spirit has so many units committed on the other side of the map. And the Zerglings will join up with the Banes. They've broken their way out, and more SCVs will go down. Spirit had a coherent push together, but now with more Banelings on the way, it's getting more and more difficult to see long-term success. 24 SCVs dead. Spirit took out 2 hatcheries and the accompanying drones, but now unable to hold his natural. The Zerglings are inside the house. He has to come back and try to defend it. But Reynor will have plenty of units rebuilt by the time he gets back across the map at all. The creep's red. He's rebuilding 2 hatcheries. The Zerglings literally just running as long as they can, buying every possible second. Burrows on the way. The Queens have built up so much energy. Reynor desperately... He doesn't have the larva. He actually has 500 minerals and 0 larva. So just building Queens to spend some of that money. Here's the thing. The army supply is still heavily in favor of Spirit. He's at 87 to 61. Reynor committed so many Lings and Banes to the other side of the map. And army supply does include the Queens, even if the select all army hotkey doesn't, just to be clear. 1-1 upgrades for both sides, +2 carapace on the way. A drop at a key timing heading in towards the main base. Though a couple Queens in position to help deal with it. Hellbats helping to lead the push. Pre-splitting. Siege tanks jammed on the ramp. Queens with so much energy. The Banelings with speed rolling in. But Liberators covering the siege tanks and Hellbats as well. This is a very dangerous timing for Reynor to deal with. Spirit might be down in supply, but he's in a great position. though he hasn't quite closed in yet. Those queens have so much energy. The transfuses need to come through. He's trying to gun him down. The energy getting drained very quickly. The medevac's getting taken out of the sky, and he's actually, that's his last medevac. He doesn't have any energy, and now the medevac itself is just taken down with ease. The Zerglings looking for a massive surround. Carapace upgrade done in 10 seconds. Reynor is desperately trying to hold for it, but Banelings crash in. He had Burrow done. I'm not sure if he had it burrowed in position, but here comes Reynor. He decides to just go, and it will be enough to crush the army. But another attack on the right flank will take out yet another hatchery. Spirit going to retreat from this position with not much to show for it. The siege tank gets a huge hit on Banelings. But Reynor starting to consolidate. He still has 63 drones to 50 SCVs. He still has 4 going on 5 bases to just 3. And does Spirit have an armory? He does. But at the same time, no upgrades on the way. A double drop headed towards the top left corner. The wall was torn down quite a while ago. And the Zerglings have a free shot in towards the natural. But there's no defense in that top left corner. He's going to get some of the drones. Goes straight for the hatchery. There's no defense here at all. The best defense will be a good offense for Reynor yet again. Going to try to break into the third. The SCVs are retreating, but guess what? Lynx from the other side. And the Banelings rolling in. He picks up the Marines. The siege tanks are in a devastating position to help out with this. The double drop still working its way through. The orbital forced to lift. The double drop forced back as well. The Zerglings have a slight upgrade advantage with that Carapace. Another drop attempted. And headed straight for the main. Spirit will be able to stop the bleeding for now, but Reynor seems to be regrowing more quickly. It doesn't have anything to directly deal with the medevacs, but he's doing enough damage on the other side that the medevacs can't be focused on. A Baneling mine was underneath, but it's just not enough. He jams the Marines into the corner. Finds a better angle. Reynor up 25 supplies, working on +2 melee now. And with a 2 upgrade advantage and superior army supply, it might be enough. He's putting Baneling mines on the ramps. And in this sort of low economy scenario where Spirit is dropping every single mule, that might be exactly what's needed to break the very tenuous position he's in. A triple drop loaded up, which will leave almost no Marines on the ground. The Baneling mine eats into the drop, and Reynor with a comprehensive dismantling. 3 medevacs have flown off into the sunset. The SCVs are pulled to the front lines to fight, but this time around, I think the game will not be going over half an hour, and I'd be surprised if it made it another minute, as the Zerglings and Banelings are at the gates. The drops will join up with the empty medevacs in the main. And it's about time. Reynor will spirit him away. The spawning pool is taken out, but the Lings and Bane should be enough as he comes back to defend. The upgrade advantage goes to the Zerg. The Queens, get off my creep! The medevacs. But he's supply blocked. Orbitals in the air. 1 base. Still difficult to track down those medevacs, and no easy way to kill them, but does it even matter in the end? There's just nothing there. Trying to chase it down, but the last Marines. He can't build a supply block. GG! Reynor with the clean sweep. It was not a quick process. I wouldn't say it was particularly easy, but Reynor with the decisive victory in every game. Spirit finally coming out of his shell, but maybe regretting that decision, though for many moments it looked like it could go either way. Eventually Reynor drags it back towards his side. So, after some of the longest average length games of any series I've seen for, well, since the last time Spirit and Reynor played, Reynor will claim the 3-0. And hopefully it made a big chunk of your day just a little bit better. If you got the means of motivation, be awesome. Check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to Big Jiggy, Dorke, Mario, and our mule patrons for bringing in so many minerals. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you for watching. Congratulations to Reynor. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Go watch that if you really want to, and go through that. The like 2-hour-long Reynor versus Spirit video. Somebody will link it. Thank you, brave soul. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.